were able to push it a little bit later here out on the West Coast. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, my 10 o'clock is your 7 o'clock, and sometimes it's hard to get people on the West Coast. But I thank you for suggesting this time, so it works.
Yay. I love it.
So I want to ask you about growing and monetize visibility using video. How'd you get into video? Since I know you started out as a stage performer.
Yeah, so I was professionally a musical theater performer, and I also I'm just gonna say something out loud right now, really quick. The gardeners just started in the backyard, which I did not realize would be happening. Can you hear that, or is it?
Uh-uh.
Okay, good. Then I'm never going to mention it again. Hooray! Okay, so I did start as a professional musical theater performer. That was my whole life. I lived in New York. I toured with the national tour of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I was a musical theater performer on cruise ships as well. And when I first decided to leave New York, my husband and I got engaged. We wanted to have kids, and we had this awesome 400 square foot apartment, but knew that wasn't going to be conducive for what we wanted our kids to grow up with. We moved back out to California to be closer to my family, and I launched the Prepared Performer at that point so that I could help other performers have a career like I did. And I knew that that was something that was missing from a lot of our training. Like even with a BFA in theater, I didn't learn much about the business side of performing. So I really started off as a singing and business coach for performers. Then when 2016 happened, and I don't know if you remember, but that's when Facebook Live came out. It was this awesome opportunity where a lot of people really didn't either have the confidence, the skill set, or the strategy knowledge, the strategic knowledge to be able to use live video in a way that was actually effective. And so in 2016, I launched a 6 week challenge, like a 6 week series on how to cure the starving artist syndrome to support artists. But what ended up happening at the end of that is I realized there was actually a bigger need for business owners to learn how to perform. So rather than teaching performers how to have a business, I started teaching business owners how to perform, and the name still worked. So it's kind of this, it was a little bit of a hodgepodge back then, but now we really are focused solely on helping course creators, consultants, coaches, people like that to be able to use video and organic social, like written organic social, to be able to grow their business and get clients.
I like that you saw a need for that. So would you call that a pivot?
Oh my gosh, it
Does
was a
that
huge
count as a pivot?
pivot. Yeah. And what I didn't say is that we had a course launch. There was a course called Prepared Performer Profits. The tagline was the cure for the starving artist syndrome. And we had, I think, 14 or 15 people in the pilot version of it who paid. It was awesome. And then when we went and we raised the price to just $497, we had no sales, like not even one. And so it was really that disastrous launch that allowed all of this to open up. And when we pivoted, it was a really hard like flip flop, right? We went straight into this other niche. I launched our flagship program for $47. Nothing was created except an empty Facebook group. And within 3 months, we did $50,000 in sales. So it was
Wow.
pretty cool. Yeah, it was awesome.
That yeah, that's very nice.
It
So
was cool.
the prepared performer for business owners, how long did it take you to realize that you needed to change?
Oh, you know, as we did that launch, I definitely pushed it of like, okay, I went down every final, no rock was left unturned of trying to get someone to pay 497 for this program. And I remember it was when Hamilton was, obviously Hamilton's still on Broadway now, but Hamilton was pretty new at the time. And I was in New York. A girlfriend of mine had gotten us tickets to see the original cast. And it was like, such an awesome weekend. And I spent a few hours on a Saturday or whatever in this cafe in New York in a panic, like how is this actually happening? Because I had done everything right. I had listened, I had worked with all these coaches and I had put all the things out there. And sometimes when you do all the things, you don't actually make sales. What you get is even better than that, which is you learn, right? And there was one piece of advice that I had not followed because I was stubborn, which was the tagline, the cure for the starving artist, was actually positioning our community to believe that they couldn't afford it. And so
Oh.
by calling them starving artists, rather than saying for successful artists who want to make a difference or something like that, I didn't set up the offer in a way that allowed them to recognize, yes, that's what I need. It reinforced a belief, which was actually an objection to purchasing.
I'm amazed because I'm thinking I probably wouldn't have recognized that. And it's like the foresight you must have to recognize something like that.
Well, I didn't have the foresight at the time. I should have, but yeah, it was the hindsight, right? And realizing I was calling them starving artists. So like if your marketing messaging is helping like struggling entrepreneurs, you're attracting people who aren't probably going to buy from you. And it's rude to them. Like one time I was at a conference where I mentioned it. I said this, and now we have lots of artists. We just don't call them starving. But I was speaking at an eWomen event in Portland, Oregon. And this woman, this has never happened to me before. And I felt so awful. But she came up to me afterwards and she was crying. And she said, I'm so offended by your presentation. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
Because I, I mean, we know each other a little, like through the internet, I'm not like out there like offending people really is not my goal. So I was like, what? And she said, you're reinforcing this idea that artists don't have money and all of this. And I was like, no, 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 no. That's the opposite of my point. My point is that it was me at that time. I was calling them that and I shouldn't have been doing that. I should have that's my point is that artists can thrive. My goal is to help them, and she just was so upset that I had even used the term starving artist. I was like, whoa. So yeah. And I was like, no, 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 no. That's the opposite of my point. Crazy.
Like, wow. Like,
Yes.
sometimes I never know when I'm going to offend people. I used to say for a while that English is hard, and
I mean, humaning is hard, I guess, is the real truth there.
that's a better way of saying it. I am trying really hard not to say that English is hard anymore. So yeah, now I have a better way of saying it.
Well, hey, that actually speaks to this, and it's something, we're doing this workshop later today about making high ticket sales high ticket sales without sales calls. And one of the big things that we're starting with, and I know you've already seen this already, is that your belief in what's possible has a huge effect on what's actually possible. And so if you say English is hard, you're telling yourself English is hard. If you're saying they're starving artists, you're telling them artists are starving. Instead, if you switch your language and you wake up in the morning and you say, you know what, today's going to be a $200,000 day, you have a much better option that's what's going to happen, right?
I love that. Yes, today will be a $200,000 day. I welcome it.
I love it. It's so good, right? And the thing is that the seeds that we're planting today will continue to grow, that it is possible for today to be a $200,000 day, even if you don't actually see by the end of today, let's say we don't see like an extra $200,000 in your bank account. It is definitely still truth that what you did today leads to $200,000. So it's a way of reframing and accepting more abundance.
Yeah.
And if we're always, or go on, sorry.
I can believe it because, like you said, you're giving a talk on high ticket sales, so it's very well possible.
Yeah, it 1,000% is. So, and really, we had last year we had a week that was $136,000 in this one week, and it was a week where I didn't work as much as usual. I went to Disneyland. It was my son's birthday, and I said that one of the things that allowed that week to happen so easily is that a couple weeks before that, I started telling everyone I knew, I was like, we're going to bring in an extra 500,000 by the end of the year. And people were like, oh, how are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know, but it's going to happen. Like I had no plan, but I literally, everyone I met, when they said, oh, what's coming up for you? Well, I decided yesterday that we're bringing in an extra $500,000. So I'm excited to see how that's going to play out. Right. So, and I'm wearing my Decide shirt today. So it's true that you have to just make the decision and then the next step will present itself.
Yeah. Is Decide your word for the year?
It wasn't this year. My word for this year was simplicity, I believe. Usually I'm pretty big about it and I'll like put it places. I think Decide has been a word in the past. It's really just my word for life.
It's nice.
Because if you
Yeah,
stay in the wishy-washy, nothing happens.
if you want something done, you have to decide to do it first.
Yeah. And then you have to actually do it, right? So it's
Yeah.
like the action, strategic action is extremely important as
Yeah.
well.
Applied knowledge is power.
Look at that.
Oh, um, I think one of my words was execute because I wanted to get things done. I had so much trouble with follow through. I was like, I just
Oh,
need to write this stuff down and go through and execute on all of these tasks, and then I will have follow through.
yeah. Closing those loops, right? Because we talk about content consumption constipation sometimes. We can get in a place where we're learning so much, but hello, what are we actually going to do about it? So I love
Yeah.
that.
I think I saw a post from you on Instagram talking about follow through. It was like all of these things will work if you actually do them. I was like,
Yes,
I believe that's true.
exactly. I mean, it's huge. My one of my coaches, Adam Urbanski, says that he opens the door, but you have to actually walk through it.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. So you put out a lot of content about what to do for free on social media, and I think that is amazing and very generous of you. So how do you know what to put out for free and what to sell?
Ooh, that's a good one. So there's a couple of overarching strategies with it so that you're not cannibalizing your offers. And the first thing, and this is something I learned from Pat Flynn, so shout out to him. I mean, years ago, he told the story of how he was doing these blog posts. He was doing these blog posts, and when he realized that his blog had all this traffic, he was like, whoa. And he was an architect. You probably know this story, but I'm just going to tell it anyway, just in case. So he was an architect and was learning and going through the LEED certification process. And so he was publishing these blog posts about his journey through getting certified as a LEED, whatever certification. So he was posting these things, and then when he noticed that his blog had all this traction, he was like, oh, that's awesome. And it was something that he realized he could sell this training on the back end. Now, what he did for what he sold is he literally just took all of these separate blog posts and organized them into a book and then sold the book for, I think, $47 as an ebook, which is a pretty pricey ebook, especially at the time. And he was shocked by the fact that he actually made loads of sales. And the one thing that he spoke about, which I love, is that the information was actually available for free if you looked hard enough to get it. What he sold was the organization. And so the organization is a big piece of it, to have things laid out in a step-by-step sequential order. The other thing is, and this, I'll shout out my friend Shamika Tinkerson, which I love Shamika so much. What she talks often about is proximity. She has a 100K program that's called Proximity, because there's something that happens when you actually have the ability to connect with other people who are all on the same path. So it's fine to have like accountability partners and, friends online or whatever, but if you're really looking to actually follow through and you're really looking to make sure that you're building your business in a strategic way, I know that we're going to have the plan for you. I mean, when you join us in our GLAM program, it's like action step 1, and we follow up with you until you complete it. Action step 2, right? So there's all these different things that it's a step by step. There's 6 action steps in there, and it's all organized individually for you, right? A lot of the little strategies that we're teaching inside there are sprinkled throughout the internet, but it's kind of like a bunch of open loops. So we'll talk about our concept of the social triangle, or I'll talk about the map to millions, or like later today, I'm doing this high ticket sales workshop, and I'm going to give, I think this may be the most valuable workshop I've ever put in place. I'm going to give loads of value, and I'm going to make sure at the end of this training that I'm leaving a clear gap for where people will need support. And sometimes people are afraid to share information. And I used to be like, oh, I'm going to give this piece, but I'm going to hold this back. I'm only, like they used to talk about, like, show the what, not the how. I give a lot of how content also, so that you get wins, so that I'm building trust, and that that I'm not just some like whatever shmama guru who's making things up. Like, I'm actually in there doing it, and it's real. Right, which is important to me, and I know it's not always common. And then I make sure that I'm reminding people that like the accountability piece, the proximity piece, we have in-person events, we have, you know, blueprints that you can create and make your own. So it's not like I have just one direct path inside our show up program. We have 6 different blueprints for how you want to use video that actually converts into real sales. So I don't know if that answers things, but there's like a strategic positioning of where that gap is between your free content, your low ticket content, your high ticket content, and like, or, you know, your low ticket offers and your high ticket offers as well.
First off, I like that you shout people out. It makes me feel good when I hear you say my name. When I'm on any of your events, when you see Talk Virtual, you know it's me. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that you know the people who like you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's awesome. I love too that, I mean, it takes a little bit of like, thank you for recognizing that, because especially with YouTube, you don't always see people's first names, but I do know you've done such a great job of like, as your background is right now. I mean, hello, both of us having our background in the back, right? I know that Talk Virtual, when you're on YouTube, that it's you. And it's a thing where you have to be brave to do that also, because sometimes I'm like, I hope this is actually Erica, you know, like, but I mean, I've been right. So that for that, I'm sure I've gotten it wrong in the past with other people, but I got it right. So that's good.
all right. Could you talk to us about, sorry, beside me. Could you talk to us about how do you get your events started?
Yeah, our events. So like in-person events or virtual events, obviously, because that's what you're
Virtual?
talking about here.
Yes.
So I'd actually love to know from you what you consider a virtual event.
Oh, so I really like summits. So I like it when we have speakers, 10 to 12 at a minimum. When those speakers let you be interactive with an audience, not when they hide the audience and it's more like a webinar. If it is a webinar, would you bring people on stage and ask them your questions or what they thought about a training you just put on, or like what were your takeaways? And I like that. Interactive events, more like engagement or enrollment events. Those are my favorite.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's interesting because people don't always know what is considered a virtual event. So even like the workshop that I'm going to do today, even though it's going to be inside a private Facebook group and then a live stream inside the private Facebook group where people can ask questions underneath. I'm not actually bringing people on camera, but to me, that's an event as well, right? And I, like you, prefer live interactive events as well. I know that sometimes that prevents people from maybe getting the information because it's only available for a limited time. So in the future, we will be adding in some more evergreen events as well. But right now, we've really been focused on the live aspect because, I mean, really, I just enjoy it more. But also, I do think there's more benefit to being able to have those conversations. And so that would be like the first level of it, I guess, would be like what we're doing right now could be considered an event as well, right? So we're streaming on all these different places. And I know depending on which tool you use, you can see the comments, you can't. So can you actually see the comments from this today?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Which is great. So I love that you're able to interact like that. And then the cool thing is when you're streaming live like this is that I can say like, hey, drop your best takeaway in the chat below. And whether or not I can see that while we're live, I can always come back to the video in the future and I can reconnect with someone. So for that purpose, I prefer Facebook Live over YouTube Live or Instagram Live because it's a little harder to reconnect with people in the replay or after the fact. Like the way that YouTube works and the comments come in the comment section, not in the chat, and then you can't click on the chat. Like it's a little clunkier to me. So that's why I prefer Facebook Live. But we kind of often we'll do a multi-stream like you do. Oh, I forget about LinkedIn sometimes. LinkedIn is actually just as good as Facebook is for that, which I shouldn't downplay that.
I like LinkedIn. I like having the ability to live stream to LinkedIn. I think that with LinkedIn, more of your connections get to see that you're going live. And it's not only your connections, the fact that you get to invite your connections when you set up an event, and they share it to more than just your connections. I really like that.
Hey, that's actually a really good point that a lot of people miss. So when you schedule, you don't have to do it as an event, right? When you schedule your video, it becomes an event and you can invite people there,
Yep.
which is awesome. And I'm kind of allergic to LinkedIn. So anytime I try and tell myself like, okay, this week I'm going to focus on LinkedIn. I don't know. I just don't find the platform as intuitive, but I also know that it's because it's a language that I haven't really dug into. So I know if I really did force myself to go there more often, I would be able to make the same strategies work there. I think the strategies that work on LinkedIn and Facebook are very similar. YouTube is kind of its own thing. Instagram is kind of its own thing. But when it comes to bigger events, more than just a live video that you're streaming out, what we really focus on are two different types of things. One is these workshops, like what I'm doing in this Facebook group. And what I love about the pop-up Facebook group type of events is that you can actually very organically learn more about each individual person because of the fact that the group has the questions that they have to answer when they join. You can get people's emails. There's tools you can use to automatically connect it so that they're instantly added to your email community. And it's all compliant. It's not anything shady, because I don't do things that are shady, but I love that it creates this whole little like pop-up community, and then you really can deepen those relationships and follow up. So I love these pop-up workshops and doing them in a pop-up Facebook group. And then what we do so that, like you mentioned, we're creating that gap so that they are in a position where we're not just giving away so much for free. We actually just remove people from the group. So I have loads of pop-up Facebook groups. The video replays are still there. The comments are still there, but no one can see them because we remove the group. And then that way I still have the ability to go follow up with people. Which is
I love your ability to follow up. That's amazing to me because I'm thinking that takes a lot of time. I do have, go ahead.
No, you go on. Go on.
I was going to say, I do have the, what is it? The thing you attach to the
Group
3
track?
questions in Facebook.
Group track?
No.
Group funnels.
Group Converter.
Okay, I don't know.
It wasn't on AppSumo. I probably hadn't heard of it. That's how much addicted I am to AppSumo.
It's so good. Yeah, there's so many awesome things to find there though, so it's great. So yeah, there's third-party tools that you can use that connect, that help with that. And I mean, we have a whole system behind it so that it doesn't get as overwhelming. It's really streamlined because I am a more creative cuckoo bird type person. I like to make sure that I'm creating systems that are sustainable so that I actually can see my children. Imagine that. And so we have really clear systems where eventually you can bring on team members to do things as well. We never give anybody access to our Facebook account. We empower our team members to show up as their own human selves. And then we use things like messenger bots and, ManyChat, different things like that to help speed up the process, which is great. So it's good.
Yeah, I like that. I can't think of his last name, but his name is Tim, and I want to say Harmon.
Tim Roller.
Yes.
Sorry, Tim. So it's a little confusing because we have 2 Tims on our team. We have Tim Roller and Tim Hughes, and they were both my dance partners on the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang National Tour. So that makes it even more confusing. But yeah, Tim Roller is the one who's actively connecting with people right now. So he's like the best at helping people to get to the right place and then letting them know that there's opportunities that are available. So
I just want to say he's so polite. and generous with his time and his information. I know he's just sharing what you guys told him to share, but it feels like he's very generous with his time and information.
He's awesome.
I like that too.
One of my favorite comments that he left was a post that had like hundreds of comments and I hadn't replied to all of them yet. And it was a 2-year-old post. And so I grabbed it and I was like, oh my gosh, there's all these people I didn't get back to your point about it taking time, right? That was before I had the systems in place. And so he started replying to people and someone said, it's been 2 years, bro. And in that comment, he wrote, no time like the present.
It's true.
Yeah, it's awesome. And really, I mean, it's important to keep in mind that the way that we specifically are helping people to do these events is to make sales, because the sales are where you can make a bigger impact. So there's lots of different strategies that people may have behind this. Like there's fulfillment events, which we also have. We do those in person for the most part. We do virtual fulfillment events also, but for the most part, our fulfillment events are in person. And then our marketing events are done mostly virtually.
So, do you have a preference, virtual or in person? I know you do both.
You know, it's actually funny that today is social media day. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes. And I had been thinking, like, oh, we didn't have anything on the calendar. And I was like, we could just have a small event here because I love our space here. We moved into this house so that we could have events here. And I was like, we could have just like a small gathering. And I thought that'll be really fun. And then as we got closer before I had talked about it, I was like, or we could just do a virtual event and I could not put shoes on. So, so I
I like that.
definitely, being someone who was on the stage as much as I have been, it's kind of funny how maybe I've just gotten old, but um, I really love in-person events and being able to hug people and being in real life. And it obviously takes more work. So it's a catch 22.
How do you know that you got an O?
I mean, I don't. I just am like, I'm not wanting to work as many hours as I used to. And when I participate in other people's big, crazy launches, I have realized I don't want to do all that. So I don't know if you saw, I sent an email out yesterday that we canceled. We were supposed to do a big 5-day virtual event and we
Mhm.
canceled it because, and we've done it before. It's very, I mean, it's quote unquote easy, but it takes a lot of energy.
Mhm.
And we were just talking about that before we got on, that like it takes a lot of energy and I have a lot of energy and I know that I am a naturally more energetic person, but I also had to be like, maybe is it, here is the thing is now maybe it's that I'm not older, I'm just wiser and recognizing, is all of that energy actually going to lead to more sales, or is there a way to do it where all of us spend less time online, we get more time living our lives with our kids or whatever it is, and we bring in better results? And that's really what I'm focused on now.
I like that. In my mastermind, shout out to Patrick Jackman at the Jackman Group, who says, "How do you know your goals are fitting into your sales funnels?" I was like, that was great. And it's like it made me really think about what I was doing and how my sales funnels were compared to my actual goals that I have set for myself.
Yeah, how do you know that?
So it started off with writing a list again. Like my days of executing, I figured I finished, but it's something that continues, not finish. So
Yeah.
I wrote out all that I wanted for my business and how it was going to fit into this sales funnel. So after writing it out, I went back to, have you heard of the profit pyramid?
Ooh, I haven't. Tell me
Okay,
more.
so it's same thing as a value ladder, but with the profit
Oh,
pyramid, it's like what can you give away for free? How can you bundle it and start it off at a price like 47 to $97? After
okay.
that, can you make a course out of this thing that you've bundled? Can you have a live event to focus on all of this course and that bundle? With your courses, can your no, I'm sorry, with your live events, can that lead to a mastermind? Can that
Mm.
mastermind lead to a one-on-one? And all your prices are supposed to go up, up, up.
Yeah, 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 I love it. We have a thing that we call your three-tiered offer. And so that is I love the way that they're like, can you take this and turn it into this? Can you take this and turn it into this? We actually go the opposite way. So we start with what's the full transformation? We'll talk about this more today too, but what's the full transformation that you could provide? And not even that you could provide. I take that back. What's the full transformation that would give them the ultimate, most amazing results ever, even if it's not something that you can provide? Because you can bring in partnerships but to deliver things, but I feel that it's really important for us to look like how can we best serve someone and then break it down from there. So like if you go to the complete opposite of that, what would be the first thing to get them started on that journey, and can that be your free gift, right? So you can have this, we have a thing called money map messaging where we make sure that each offer has a gap, even the free offer has a gap that creates a new problem that leads them to the next thing, and there's a new problem and now they're at the next thing, and there leads them to a new problem and now they need the next thing. So it sounds really similar. I like it.
Me too. So I'm definitely glad that I signed up to be a part of the event that's going on today.
It's gonna be fun.
So I found out about you because you were promoting Be Live in an AppSumo deal.
Oh my gosh, that is what I was going to tell you before we hit the go live button just now. That was the story that I was going to talk about. So I'm so glad. Tell me more. Yes.
Well, Loved your energy. And I was wondering, how did you get a partnership deal? And how do you know when to take a partnership deal?
Ooh, such a good question. So this was early on. So, okay, first of all, I love partnerships like this where you are an ambassador for a company and having this be one of your income streams. So, right now, our full business model, whatever, we have a lower ticket mastermind, we have a higher ticket mastermind, and then we have some mini courses out there too, which are valuable and out there. Some pay what you can, pay what you want things, like we have our top 100 converting posts, pay what you want for those, some little things. But mainly we have a mid-level mastermind and then a higher level mastermind, and then private consulting. So those are like our three levels that we have now. And what a lot of people don't realize is we have a really powerful income stream via partnerships, and whether that's through an affiliate or because someone is actually paying you to be the face of their brand. And so when I first started out with Be Live, and this is a really great opportunity for anybody to be able to use right now, no matter how quote unquote big your list is, right? You don't need to have a huge list. And I didn't have a huge community at all when I first started with Be Live. But what I would do is when there were tools that I knew that my clients or my community would benefit from, I would do my best to get in touch with the person who actually was in charge of the tool. So Daniel, the CEO of Be Live, who's like my brother, he posted inside Joel Comm's Facebook group. So another little, are you okay if I get like really strategic about this?
Go ahead.
Okay. So another piece of this is what we call awareness playgrounds. And so Joel Comm's Facebook group was an awareness playground, not a place for me to go poach clients because that is creepy and rude, but a place for me to go connect with other people who are in the space and like really build relationships. So in Joel Comm's group, he posted, oh, there's this new tool. And at the time, you could not go live with any other tool and have more than one person on the screen. So like right now we're using Zoom. Zoom did that, but Zoom didn't have the ability to go live. So there was no tool that allowed you to have an interview type situation. And Be Live came out with the ability to do that. And he posted it in the group. And I was like, oh my gosh, my community is going to freak out. Now, at the time, I was connected with some direct sales communities, which we still serve as clients now, but I'm not like involved with any of them. It was huge for those communities because they wanted to be able to do partnership videos together and team videos together. So I reached out to Daniel and I was like, oh, I'm connected to these people who I know would love this tool. And we just kind of started talking. And so I think I got beta access to it in the first place because it was still brand new. So if you can ever find a tool that is launching, I mean, AppSumo is a great way to do that also, because oftentimes AppSumo will release brand new tools and you get in and break it. That is my favorite thing. So I love to like, same thing. I did it with ManyChat. I did it with Jasper. I've done it with a lot of tools like this within video where I get in when it's newer and then figure it out. Now, if you're like, oh, but these tools have already been created, they're making updates all the time. So if you can be there really using it and building a relationship with the founder of the tool, it's awesome. At that point, what happened is Be Live, because I was just sharing about it for free, right? They didn't even have an affiliate program at the time. I just was excited and talking about it. Be Live then reached out and asked me if I would host a show once a week for them. And I mean, they really were the first in the space. And now there's a lot of tools that have copied them, like exactly direct copy, like a duck copy something, right? There's tools that have directly copied them. And there's tools that I think have really, in some ways, maybe not necessarily improved upon, but solved different problems. So like Restream and Wave now have very different solutions that they provide, which has been interesting. So at that point, they reached out. I quoted them a certain amount of what it would take. Like if I was doing a private client call, that's basically what I charged, like the same that I would charge for a private client call. And they said no. They said, how about half of that? And I was like, okay. So I said yes to half of what that was. So at the time they paid me $500 a show. And so if you are approached with something like this, like don't undercut yourself, because even though at this point, I mean, my relationship with BeLive grew over the years, and I ended up being a full-time member of their team and like a marketing consultant for them. And even though we don't have a working agreement right now, they're still using my face on everything. And I still am very connected to them. And I recognize that what I brought them value-wise at the time is still being used again and again and again. So keep in mind that there's a longer term value with stuff like that.
You're the reason why I bought it twice. So
Oh, look
yeah.
at that. I mean, and
So,
that actually speaks so much to the relationship that you build with your community and the weight of that trust. So you want to be careful that you're only recommending things that you actually really use and appreciate and all of that. So you have to be selective, and honest as well. Imagine that.
so I like that it has the custom RTMP, and I can hook it up to OneStream, and I can stream out to wherever I want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, nobody's trying to stop me from streaming, so yay for that. But
And they're doing really cool stuff with sales now too, and like with Amazon Live and other things like that. They're really more focused on being a sales tool, which I love. Like they have a whole widget inside there where you can put your products in, which no other tools have that. So it's pretty cool.
I like that. I saw a spot on AppSumo, and I didn't get it, and then it came back, but it's only a 1-year deal. I'm like, oh, I don't do 1-year deals. But
man, I will tell you, so I was the person who was like, did all the, and as you know, but in case anybody else doesn't know, did all the like webinars and Q&A stuff with AppSumo on that side. And Sumolings are a definite interesting breed where, I mean, I'm like you, I'm obsessed with it as well. I have to like block myself from seeing it because I will buy everything that is there. And it seems like it's too good to be true. And most of the time it is actually exactly as good as it says. And sometimes they'll get mad, like this is only a year-long deal. I'm like, how are these companies supposed to stay around if I fully respect that that's all that you buy on there. But when people in that group get mad about it, I'm like, are you running a business? Because how is this supposed to work? But yeah, it's a fine dance because I know it's awesome and it gets more visibility, but I'm sure some companies have gotten themselves into trouble.
Yesterday I bought a Thrive cart, and it was $6.90. And I was like, man, and today I'm thinking I could have bought land with that, because I have bought 2 pieces of land, half acre, for less than that. And I'm thinking I could have bought more land. But I'm hoping, because I remember being on one of your lives, you're talking about having a box office. And I'm thinking, would this be a good box office for me? Did I make a good purchase? And I'm really hoping.
I've heard people love Thrivecart. Actually, we use Samcart, but I've heard, and I can't believe I didn't mention them as one of my favorite like affiliate partnership tools. But with Thrivecart, the thing is with AppSumo, you have to make sure that you actually use the stuff, right? Yes. So, and there's with tools like that where you're setting up shopping carts, it takes time to build it all out. Mm-hmm. That's a fine balance, but yeah.
Oh, I'm a self-proclaimed AppSumo concierge. So you gave me a great idea there. I can't think of the name of it right now, and people are going to be mad at me, but you said something about partnerships and companies that have just come out and looking for testers. There is a tool on AppSumo right now that just have SaaS products, and it tells you when they just got their funding.
Oh, that's so cool. Not even as a way to buy products, but to reach out to people who may want to invest in ambassadors.
Yep.
That is interesting. I'm looking at it. I haven't logged into AppSumo in a while.
If you're addicted like me, I'm not trying to flare up any of the shiny object syndrome, but I love it.
No, I'm like going to look for it right now, which I'll find it later. Thank you.
If I could do more than one thing at the same time, I would share it with you, but I can definitely share it with you later.
Okay, perfect. I am the worst at multitasking, as in the best at multitasking.
I mean, I love BeLive, but trying to do the stream producing and host at the same time, I got tripped up a lot. So now I only do it on Zoom. But yeah. OneStream just came out with their studio, so I'm gonna give it another try.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so we look at it kind of like choreography. So if you're putting on a virtual event, it's awesome to have someone like you who can help. Like, do you manage virtual events for people?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really awesome to have like a producer like that because most people are not skilled enough to be able to maintain their focus. And even sometimes I'll be like, like not actually speaking words. And it's because I'm trying to navigate something behind the scenes. So it's such a great benefit to have someone like you to be able to run the stream for people.
Yeah. Right. I like that because I can't look at the screen and type at the same time. And I know I'm not supposed to look at my keyboard while I'm typing.
I know. So then you're like, and my keyboard is so loud that I can't really hide it, you know?
Could you talk about a little more about the negotiations when you wait, how do you find your partnerships besides finding what's coming out new? And how do you decide that you want to work with them? And then how do you do the negotiation for it?
Say that again. So if someone's coming out new, how do I decide I want to work with them?
Yeah, like a new SaaS product. Let's say you find the AppSumo deal where it tells you about all the SaaS products. How will you decide what would
Yeah,
be a
so
good partner for you?
great question. So we usually are only doing things that we're actually using. So if it's something that I see solves a problem for me, then I go and try it. And if it feels like, oh, this is better than what we're already using, then I'll potentially look at that. Otherwise, like right now, we have someone that we're in talks with who is a copywriting tool. And I just love Jasper so much that I'm like, I really have to understand why it would be better. Otherwise, it's going to put me in a tricky position. Not because I'm like in a contract with Jasper, just because I don't want to confuse our community. So I base it
Understand.
off of like what I actually am doing, you know, like you say,
Eh,
and what's beneficial for us.
I think that would make it a lot easier. So yeah, I like that. I mean, there's a lot of AppSumo tools that I just love, and they don't ask me to say it, but I love Book Like a Boss. That's the best deal
I
I
have
think I've
heard
bought.
such good things about it, like such good things about it. And I think I maybe even got it on AppSumo, but then for this is another point, is like, what's the cost of switching tools? And we were already using Calendly and I just haven't taken the time or whatever to switch over.
I mean, I've met the guy from Calendly. We're connected on LinkedIn. He's a very nice guy, very generous with his information and his time, but I can't leave Book Like a Boss. I think because I know it and use it every day, that it's just simple for me.
So that's a whole nother um, point to it is like the relationships that you have with people. And to be totally honest, like that's why I struggle with the duck so much because they really, when they first started, they were so um unethical in the way that they brought in new partners and clients, and they messaged everyone inside the Be Live Facebook group and said, I know you're using Be Live, but our tool is better. And at the time, their tool was a direct copy of Be Live. And so it's like it's probably the only like internet grudge that I still have and where I won't use a tool because it was such an icky way that they went about it in the beginning. But it's also my loyalty to like um the people on the team at Be Live because it was such it's so violates what we're teaching about organic social. And I know now it's like they're owned by a completely different company. I have loads of friends who are on the team, and like, you know, our booths are right next to each other at Social Media Marketing World, and I'm celebrating them, but I will never have an account with them because of how that happened in the beginning. Um, Even if the tool maybe, you know, at one point I think that it had slightly higher quality streams or something like that, but the tool is not so different that it would allow me to let go of that.
Understand. Like I got two messages on LinkedIn telling me that they know I use this one product, but if I switch to them, they would pay me and theirs is better. And I'm like, I don't know. This seems like a trap.
Yeah, and I get messages like that about AI copywriting stuff a lot where they're like, "Oh, I see you're active in the Jasper group. We have a new tool that you would love." And I entertain the conversation more because I'm like, "How are you actually going to handle this situation?" You know? Um, but when they're saying, "I found you in the Jasper group," I'm like, "Was that actually a good strategy?" No, I don't know if that's actually. I don't know. I mean, different people have different opinions about that, but I think there's other ways to grow organically than poaching people's clients.
Yeah. My messages were like, see you're using this. What do you like? What do you dislike about it? Help make ours better and promote for us. And I'm like, it just doesn't sound good.
That is actually what comes up a lot. It's like help make ours better than them. Like we have had lots of offers to be paid for oh, can I just pick your brain about AI copywriting? And every time it comes in, I'm like, it's just because you want to spy on Jasper. Like, I'm not, I mean, that's what it feels like to me anyway. So I don't know.
Understand. I've been in a lot of those AI threads that I still don't know. For me, with the AI copywriting, it makes me feel like they're prompting me to write, and it's a good I guess a good way for me to start writing, but I am not sure. I've never used Jasper.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. I love it so much, obviously. And for me, it's more of like an interesting way to accelerate what I'm already doing because I like writing. It just makes things a little quicker. And it gives me new ideas and stuff too. So it's cool.
So I'm not a big fan of writing. As I used to say, English is hard. So what I do is I take the transcript and I use phrase. So with their AI writer, I take the transcript and I put it in, I chop it up and I put it in like little snippets of it, and then I'll ask it to rewrite it and then hope that
Yeah.
its English is better than mine.
I mean, it's like, it's that little things like that. I feel like that's basically part of what we do with Jasper, right? For video titles or for descriptions and stuff like that, it's super powerful. So yeah, it's good. I like
I
it.
like that you're into so many tools.
I have to focus and like pull myself together sometimes.
Me too. It's like I talked to Noah Kagan, and he was doing a live stream about remote work, and I asked him, "How do you deal with people who say they are addicted to AppSumo?" And he says, "For me, stop buying, use what you have, and if you like it so much, become an affiliate and promote it." I'm like, "Dang, that's so true." So
I
now
know.
I'm a self-proclaimed AppSumo concierge.
Exactly. I mean, the only tricky thing about being an affiliate with AppSumo is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you only get paid when off the first, like you get the full amount of the first product that they buy, but there's no recurring income.
That's
So
right.
we are looking for for ways that you can make recurring income because then you only have to sell it once and then you keep making money off of it.
Yeah. So it's like how you said before, since I really like Book Like a Boss, they give me a percentage, and whoever buys in under me, I get a percentage of their sales, and they sell, I get a percentage of their sales, stuff like that. It's
Totally. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that I look at. And that, to everything else I said about partnerships earlier, the the compensation plan is also important too, I think.
yeah.
That's it's actually the visibility that I'll be able to get out of it and the compensation plan are kind of after do I like the tool and the relationships that I'll build and all of that.
Now I got to know, do you have a course on partnerships?
I mean, we should, right? Um,
I think you're really good at it.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's something that we do talk about a lot in Glam and even in Show Up. We have a whole power, we call them power partners. And so we have a whole strategy on power partners, and that can be both like joint venture things and then also on like promoting tools and stuff like that, like more affiliate relationships too. So we do have it. It's just inside our mastermind, which is good.
I like that. So could you tell us more about your mastermind?
Sure. Yeah. So we have two different levels. One is called Show Up, and that is for people who are looking to hit 10K. We have a couple calls a week and you get questions answered. You get a whole learning management portal that goes over everything from how to position your offer, how to create your offer, identifying your ideal client, things like how to gain visibility on organically. We have a little bit on ads, but it's mostly organic. And then how to make sales. So the whole thing is in that one program. And then we have a couple calls a week. And we're bringing back our in-person event. We did this in the past, but next year we're going to have our in-person event as a part of that too. So I love it. That's awesome. And that was what originally started off as our camera confidence program. And now it's migrated into this new higher level mastermind that it is. Like, it's like an entry level virtual mastermind. And then in addition to that, we have our GLAM program, which is GLAM stands for Go Live and Monetize. And that's our higher level hybrid mastermind. So we have 3 events a year that are in person, in addition to 3 opportunities for calls a week where you can jump on and get questions answered, get feedback on your content, whatever. It's a whole thing on how to be found, make sales. And then in that program, we focus also on how to scale. So usually it's people who are doing at least 10K a month. We have people who have crossed 7 figures. It's a whole myriad of that level. And the community is just so awesome, and they're so valuable, and they share such great stuff on these calls. And a big part of it is really just that you can recognize that the more fun you have, the more money you make. So in addition to the support that we provide for the members of the program, we also have a monthly team call and a separate team portal where we give your team members all of this awesome, strategy and systems and all that too, to support you in really being the CEO of your business. So it's great.
Like that, not only are you doing a couple of calls a week with your members, again, being generous with your time and information, but you also make time to host events. So yeah,
I love
like
it.
your systems must be amazing.
We actually, so our events are 2 days, and then on the third day, do you know what we do on the third day of our event? You may know this.
Is it rest?
It's go to Disneyland. So I take all of our members to Disneyland, which is
That's
so
nice.
fun. I know. That's rest, but it's play.
It's like your nutrition and your water intake must be on point to have so much energy to do all of this.
I actually hired one of our clients recently, so it's getting better and better. I'm super grateful. We hired one of our clients is a nurse practitioner who has an integrative medicine health coaching program, and so my husband and I have both been doing it. And you'd think, I do have more energy, but I think it's more of that I've recognized the balance that needs to be in place as well. So it's awesome.
My daughter.
I love it.
I heard that there is no such thing as a work-life balance. There is only harmony. So strive for harmony.
Oh, I love that. We are actually looking at calling our new, kind of more collaboration mastermind calls in our programs, symphony calls, so that everyone can come together and harmonize and share their magic as a part of the symphony.
I like that.
So good. Awesome. Sweet.
So, Molly, you have an event coming up is it an hour? So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I gotta get on that too. Yes, we have an event coming up in an hour, which will be fun.
Yeah. So tell us, where's your favorite social media hangout spot so we can connect with you?
Yeah, so I've been doing more on Instagram actually recently, which finally I'm finding Instagram fun. So our Instagram is The Prepared Performer. And then we also have a Facebook group. The Facebook group is, if you go to Elevate Your Awesome, let me see, because I have a website for it and that makes it easier to find. Elevate Your Awesome. I can't remember if it's .com or .live. Let me check and see.
If you want to share your screen when you find it, you can share your screen.
I find it. I found it. It's elevateyourawesome.live. And this is the group here. So it's get clients with video, organic social, coaches, course creators, creatives. The craziest title ever, but it's all for SEO purposes. So inside this group here, we have loads of awesome goodness in the guides where you can learn so much about creating content and making sales and all of this magic right here in the group. So you should join, and it's awesome. You can ask questions, and Tim will connect with you and point you in the right direction.
All right.
That's elevateyourawesome.live.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing your time, energy, and knowledge with us, Molly. It is appreciated.
Thank you, Eric.